In this lesson you will learn elapsed time, which is how much time passes from the start of an event to the end of that same event. For example, soccer practice. Let's say soccer practice starts at 1:15 p.m. and it ends at 3:15 p.m. They're both p.m., they're both afternoon. They have the same minutes, so it makes it pretty simple. From 1:15 to 3:15, you start out at 1:15, go to 2:15, and then go to 3:15. You have 2 hours, so 2 hours have elapsed. Another example, you go to the movie theater, and it starts at 3:45 p.m. and it ends at 5:15 p.m. Both afternoon, so that's good. But now the minutes are different. When the minutes are different, it's a little trickier to figure out. So you start your clock at 3:45 p.m. Move your short hand to the middle between the 3 and the 4 and your long hand to the 9 for 45. Well, if you go from 3:45 up to 4:45, spin your clock around. That's 1 hour that has elapsed. Now, we can't go all the way to 5:45 p.m. because that's too far. We only want to go to 5:15. So from 3:45 to 4:45, now we're going to 5:15. So instead of going 1 whole hour, we only want to go half an hour. And remember, there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, so half of an hour is 30 minutes. So right here we have half the hour, 30 minutes. So if we want to know how much time has elapsed, we would know that it's 1 hour and 30 minutes have elapsed during your movie. And it starts to get really tricky when you cross over from AM to PM or PM to AM. And so I've allowed us to focus on AM and PM and really see what those two things mean. AM stands for ante-meridiem, which is Latin for before noon. And that's 12 hours of the day. We know that there's 24 hours in one day. 12 of them are AM. So let's look a little closer at what exactly is AM. When you're sleeping at midnight, you know, the stars are out, the moon is out, hopefully your whole family is sleeping at midnight, it should be 12 o'clock AM or before noon. That's the very first moment of AM. The whole next 12 hours, all the way up until lunch, 11:59 AM, all day. So here you have midnight, you wake up, you brush your teeth, maybe we'll say at 7 o'clock AM. Then you come to school, maybe at 9 o'clock AM. We go to resource, we go to do reading. So we have reading and resource, we'll say at 10 o'clock AM, 11 o'clock AM. And then it's just about time for lunch. So lunch is at 11, not always at 11:59 AM, but we'll say right before 12 o'clock, all those hours in between are AM. So just think of it as midnight AM all the way until lunch is still morning. It's still chilly outside. Now if we switch to PM, remember there's still 24 hours in one day, and if we switch to PM, PM means post-meridiem, which is Latin for afternoon, which is still 12 hours. 12 hours AM plus 12 hours PM, 24 hours. So if we go from that same lunchtime 1 minute later, right after lunch or during lunch sometimes, 12 o'clock turns into PM. So when the sun is shining bright in the sky, it's 12 o'clock PM or afternoon. And then all the way, the 12 hours that go all the way to midnight, those are all PM. So let's see, we have lunch, then we might have math, say 1 o'clock PM. Then we might have science and social studies at 2 o'clock PM. Then you're going to have dinner around 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock PM. Hopefully you're going to then go to bed before midnight. So let's go to bed. Let's say we'll go to bed at 8:30. I think that's a good time. At 8:30 PM. And all the way up until almost midnight, the minute before, that whole time from lunch all the way to midnight has been PM. So the sun is shining bright, and then the sun starts to set, and it's still PM. All right, let's apply your knowledge. Johnny arrives to school at 8:20 a.m. and he leaves school at 3:25 p.m. How much time does he spend at school? So I've set our clock up to say 8:20 a.m. and I've set our other clock up to say 3:25 p.m. Now on the clock you don't see a.m. or p.m. because the clock just keeps going around and around and around. It doesn't actually show a.m. or p.m. on this type of clock because it doesn't require that. Now some watches might have a.m. or p.m. If you have a digital watch or a digital alarm clock, it might say a.m. or p.m. But for an analog, it does not show that. So you can look outside to see if it's daylight or if it's nighttime to see which is which. Alright, so he arrives at school at 8:20 a.m. He leaves school. So we'll say from 8:20 to 9:20 a.m. to 10:20 a.m. to 11:20 a.m. to 12:20 a.m. to now, instead of a.m., is that supposed to be still a.m.? We think back, afternoon was p.m. So 12:20, right after 12 o'clock, it's p.m. And remember, we have the sun shining bright at school. This might be during lunch. Then we have 1:20 p.m., 2:20 p.m., all the way up until 3:20 p.m., which is right before when he leaves. So it's not quite 20, or it's not quite 25, it's at 20. So let's figure out the hours from 8:20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. And then we still have this little section here to figure out from 3:20 to 3:25 is, of course, 5 minutes. So not only did the minutes change, but it also switched over from AM to PM. So when you're counting, you just have to practice to count 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. You just have to practice right after that 12 to say 1 instead of saying 13. Unless, of course, you're military time. They do continue the numbers. Let's see here. So, Ian and I went on a trip. And I want you to help me figure out how much time we spent preparing for and driving to our trip. On Wednesday, I packed our bags from 10:25 a.m. to 1:47 p.m. How long did it take me to pack? So, we want to start at 10:25 a.m., but we notice that it switches over. So we're going to have to remember when we say 12, we have to say 1. All right, so 10:25 all the way up to 11:25 to 12:25 to 1:25, and we can't go quite to 2:25 because we're only at 1:47. So this is still AM. This is now turned into PM or afternoon, and this is PM. Now we have to figure out how many minutes from 25 to 47. Okay, 25 to 47, we know that 25, 35, 45, that's 20, and then 2, 22 minutes. Or you could do 47 minus 25, 2, 2. So we have 1, 2, 3 hours and 22 minutes elapsed from the time that I started packing to the time I finished packing. Whew, that's a lot of packing. Then on Thursday, I ran errands for 2 hours and 15 minutes. So this time I gave you the hours and minutes. Unlike before, I gave you the times. If I got finished at 5:40 p.m., what time did I start my errands? So let's say we finished, we know that we have finished at 5:40 p.m., okay, afternoon. We want to know what time did I start. And then in between here we know that it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. So we want to figure out, we have to count backwards, what time did I start. So if you go backwards 2 hours, 5, 4, 3, we know that it's 3 something. And then if you go backwards 15 minutes, 40, go back to 30, go back to 25, 3, 25. Now let me think, PM or AM? It was only 2 hours. It was dinner time. Now it's still afternoon. Okay, so it's PM. So my start time was, of course, 3:25 p.m. Then on Friday, we drove to Pennsylvania. We left at 1:15 a.m. and it should take 8 hours and 20 minutes. What time will we arrive? So before, I was asking for this. Now I'm asking for the end time. So I know that on Friday, we left at 11:15. And key here is a.m. We took 8 hours, 20 minutes. So what time did we get there? 11:15, 8 hours. So we're going to go from 11:15 up 8 hours. 12:15, 1:15, 2:15, 3:15, 4:15, 5:15, 6:15, 7:15. So that's 8 hours. So we know it's going to be 7 something. Or seven something. And then 20 more minutes. So it was 15. So 20 and 15 adds up to be 35. Now it started out being before noon, but because we switched over from 11, 12, 1, we switched over from AM and it's now PM. So we got there right after dinner, or hopefully just in time for dinner. Remember when you're switching over from AM to PM to say 12, 1, 2, 3 instead of 12, 13, 14, 15. And remember there are 24 hours in a day, and half of that day is AM and half of that day is PM.